Oh, good. Are we on? Are
Yeah.
we live? Hello, everybody. Hello, family. I'm sorry to be a few minutes late. We've been catching up. I am so overdue for a phone date or any kind of date with Jennifer Hale. It is ridiculous. So, of course, we had to kibitz pre-stream. So, forgive me. But hello, everybody.
Hey,
So
you
nice to hear
guys.
from you. All right, I'm bringing her on. I'm bringing her on. Here she comes. The one, the only, the legendary, and I am not the first to say it, the Meryl Streep of voice acting, the fabulous Miss Jennifer Hale. Hi, Jen.
Oh my God, I'll never let go of that. Hey, it's so good to be
Yay.
here. It's really, really beautiful to be here. Thank you. And thank you all for coming to hang with us. And I'm really excited about today.
I am
Really.
so happy that you're here. I've been wanting to have you on for freaking ages.
Yeah.
But since I started it, I've been like, oh, when am I going to have her on? And then as this pandemic has gone like deeper and more
Mhm.
crazy and more whatever, I'm like, oh my God, we need her so badly. So this is
We,
perfect.
we
Thank
can
you.
talk about the gifts of the pandemic as well, because there's some beautiful gifts in this pandemic. Some beautiful gifts in this pandemic.
You're so well adjusted. You're incredibly well adjusted. How do you do that?
We
You're
have two
so
choices. You can be miserable or okay. I like to gravitate to okay and pretty great.
I I tend to be pretty buoyant in
Yeah,
general. Like
yeah,
as a general like static state of being, buoyancy is my thing. However, I definitely have been roller coastery and more highs and lows through this than I've
yeah.
been in most times.
We're
So
in the deep end, right? And so many of our coping skills have been taken away that we weren't aware we were using as coping skills. All that socializing, all that going out, all that shopping, all that consuming, all that outward behavior, it's all been removed. And
yes.
and it's true, like the planet, Pachamama sent us to our rooms to think about what we've done. And we don't like being in our room thinking about what we've done. It doesn't feel good. And so think about what we want to be instead. Think about like the gifts of this are we're not going and congregating in malls anymore and just blindly spending money because we don't think about it. Yes, there's online spending, but that's a whole other conversation. And we're going to parks, we're going outside, we're podding up with people we care about, and we're focusing on each other's well-being out of survival. But that's really originally how the whole race kind of launched and succeeded.
Yes.
The whole
Yes.
survival of the fittest is that phrase is in that book just a few times.
Yeah.
Community and cooperation's in there a couple hundred times. Hey, you
Just a
guys.
few. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and community and cooperation is what it's all about. And if you'll notice, there's all this polarizing going on because it really is about what you're going to do. You're going to do this or you're going to do that, because sitting in the middle is endorsing the pull of the one you don't want. So you get to pick, and having power in your life is what everybody wants, but now you got it, and you got to adult along with it. And that's always the challenge, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, I've also been gifted with a choice that I made last a while back to walking alongside a mentor and a group of people whose knowledge and information is deep and solid and so useful in these times. And I'm happy to share the tools that I've learned and to share, it's Jim Fortin is his name. He's extraordinary. And that those tools are amazing. I mean, people can go get them or not, but I'll share what I know of them here because they're amazing.
Totally. I have never even heard of Jim Fortin. I have no idea who Jim Fortin is. Who is Jim Fortin?
He's a podcast called the Jim Fortin Podcast. It's
Okay,
real
wait,
fancy.
I'm writing it down. Hold on.
Jim Fortin.
Hold on. Jim Fortin.
Yeah, start with episode 1
Okay.
and just go forward. I think there's like 122 now. And he
Oh,
keeps
wow.
it
Okay.
short. He doesn't go on forever. And he's very like, this is the deal. And I want to start a drinking game where every time he says my brother-in-law, the shaman, because he says it repeatedly because he never knows when people are coming into the podcast. It might be your first episode and you're on 68,
Okay.
and he's like, look, he combines sort of my experience of him is he combines like neurofeedback, programming techniques, subconscious programming techniques with business performance metrics with shamanistic wisdom. And the
Wow.
mix, he is not a shaman. He will never tell you that he is.
Okay.
But the wisdom is there and the foundation's there. And that is the connection to all things of the soul, those sorts of places for me. And they always have been. And that weirdly enough partners beautifully with money because money is energy. Money is just energy. It's just a symbol thing, and we make it mean so much.
Uh,
And those thoughts make us miserable or happy, depending on the day. Yeah.
so in this time, I've heard countless stories and so many different complaints and questions from people because everybody has been in turmoil with this and people not knowing what's going on with their careers and when things will pick back up, and some getting windfalls through the unemployment and through the extended benefits, and some being really concerned and wanting to put away because who knows, and some people saving for things, people spending on things. I have friends who are really all over the gamut, and it feels like such an important time to talk about the question of money. I mean, you're saying money is energy. I'm trying to remember. I remember somebody wrote an article about money is units of freedom, that money is freedom, and that that's how you should regard it. That every time that you get it, it's just gaining more freedom. So it's how do you want to use your freedom, which I thought was like another nice way of thinking about it. That it was cool.
Well,
But your
yeah.
but this is your for those of you who don't know, in addition to Jen being a brilliant and prolific voice actress, she also talks about money, and she has a podcast about money and how we deal with our money and how we save and spend. And at conventions, she does these in real life, groups of people where she advises people on their spending and gets really into it about
Well,
how you deal with your money. So,
I don't advise because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a formally trained person. What I say is I'm a person who's made money. I'm a person who's been broke. I'm a person who's made really good investment decisions and really bad ones. And I've lived through all of it. And my goal is to share my experience to save people steps. If to if I've already cut the trail with my machete to this point, I'll hand it off to you and you take it from there. Uh,
mhm.
and the way I look at money is like a table, and it has four legs. I'm gonna fit it in the space that my little camera will allow. It's got
Yeah, I'm looking at
four
your
legs.
okay.
There.
Right. I like it's
Like,
the okay.
um, and so the first leg is knowledge, which we're quite often not given for a really specific set of reasons.
Right. Tell.
Because I mean, what I've gleaned and what I believe is, what I've learned is the modern educational system was started largely in the Victorian era when Great Britain ran a global empire from a tiny little island in the Atlantic without computers. How do you do that?
Right.
You
Ridiculous.
standardize, well,
Crazy.
you standardize reading, writing, and math, and you create what amounts to a giant human supercomputer. And you teach people how to execute your orders, but you don't teach them how it works. That would not go well for you because they might take off and start their own show. you know,
That makes
have
sense.
a tea
Yeah.
party in a harbor and look out. But this is so knowledge, and the good news is knowledge is something you go get. And different areas of knowledge appeal to different people. I love real estate. It's my happy place. I have tried the stock market. I have spent money on investment training programs. It is not my movie. I would rather stick a pen in my eye. But there are people out there who that really works for.
And that's
There
their
are people who
thing.
love Forex, which is the foreign currency exchange. There's
Right.
when you find so knowledge is the point is knowledge is a super important leg of the table. Once you have knowledge, then you can make a plan and you have leg number two. And then once you know the plan where you want to go, then you create habits. And that's another place that Jim Fortin is brilliant at is habit management. You create habits by repeating those behaviors over and over, like eating well, like, you want to do something different with your physical form. You eat differently and lo and behold, the physical form becomes different, or you exercise. Like those are just habits, right?
Yes.
And then the last leg is the funky place. It's where it all gets just really interesting, which to me is being who you're being. And that is formed by the culture you come from, the people who raised you, the people you hang out with. What are their opinions about money? What do you have permission for or not permission for? If people listen to the podcast, by the way, my apologies, it's not suitable for work or children because I get all fired up and was swearing and I'm like,
Swearing is absolutely welcome where we are. This is a yeah.
yeah, it's one of my new commitments. So I want to be accessible to everyone. So going forward, I'm actually evaluating how I want to come back into service. I want to come back into this podcast. And we're going to go on a sidebar for a second.
Okay.
These tools that I'm able to have, these learnings I'm able to get because I'm surrounded like incredible humans like my sister and my family that I found when I was older, like, but also because I've had the benefit of being able to go to therapy on and off since I was 19 years old. And because it came from a very, my circumstances were quite difficult in some respects, as many people's are, most people's are, right?
Yes.
But I paid for the therapy and I paid for the business coaching and I paid for the being coaching and I paid a lot of money over the years to learn all this stuff. And I would like to be of service in a number of ways. There are going to be people out there who will come and be, you know, part of a group that's a professional development group, and that's a paid group, and we do that. I'm also would like to be of service to people who don't have the resources yet to go after this and share with them everything I've learned so that then they can pick it up and take it forward.
Yes.
Now, that being said, the material has to be respected. I'm not putting this out here for people to yammer on about and not do anything with. If you're taking this in, take it in. And if you take it in and don't do anything about it, then that's on you.
Yes.
And if it doesn't fit you, that is not a problem. Move on to what does. Find someone who does. Let's open up the conversation. Because money is, so that let's go back to that fourth leg, being. A lot of it comes to adulting. Like, I started this podcast in part because I spent my
Your
life.
reaction when you say adulting. I know. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I'm starting to sweat. I'm taking off my sweater.
Right. I took my jacket off already. Okay.
She came in the room and she got all warmed
Like,
up.
adulting. Okay.
Isn't that funny? Like, we want power, but are we willing to adult to get it? And I'm sure you're not. No one's gonna hand it to you. Hang on.
Yes.
You know, I'm not giving power to a 2-year-old. That's a bad decision.
Right.
Where are you being a 2-year-old? In some places, you're a 2-year-old. In some places, I'm a 2-year-old.
Oh my God.
No, I was a 2-year-old until somebody went, you know what? And I was like, oh.
This is exactly where I am. You are speaking to me in such an immediate place. It's exactly where I am right now.
Yeah.
I'm constantly having to like quell the monster that is my inner 2-year-old right now at this moment.
I'm seeing something in the chat that I want to address, which is people are talking about swearing. Let's not get sidetracked because swears are awesome. Listen, that's your movie, do it. My purpose for withholding it is I want to be accessible when people are home with their kids and they want to play this to listen to. When they're at work and they want to share something, I want it to be accessible to everybody. And I did not know you get the E rating on iTunes until I got it. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, wow.
Because that's not my being. So, but yeah, let's talk about, so a couple years ago, I came to the point where I recognized that financially, how much money I can make as a person who is me in the industry that I'm in has a particular size within my conventional thinking. Now, I've since changed that thinking and expanded it. But at that time, I thought, I want to I also had a hunger to engage my business side. But my business side likes to go to work where it knows there's a return. Which is why I haven't really made a lot of creative content, because I'm like, you don't know if anybody's gonna buy that.
Right.
And you spend all that money making a movie and it's gone.
Yes.
That doesn't
been there. I know that tune.
It doesn't appeal to my Capricorn practical side.
Okay.
So I really love real estate. And so I dove in and learned about syndicating apartment building investments and buying apartment buildings and working with partners. And I have an amazing group of partners I worked with, and I still hand them my money to this day. But I had this funky noise.
Partners, co-investors, or partners, advisors?
Both.
When you're saying they're both?
Above.
Okay.
We would actually run the deals and find investors and invest alongside them and run the deals.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to know everything, like how to find the right investment, how to run the right investment, how to deal with all the stuff you know. It's like planning a wedding. You can think of everything under the sun, but there's a million things that come up when you're in the game that you're like, oh my God.
Right.
And you have to deal with them. You have to deal with them. And you do your best inside of what you know, and you bring in outside experts, and you trust your gut, and you're diligent as heck. You adult the snot out of that one. So, but I had some internal noise when that happened, and I'm going somewhere with this. And that noise was, but if I'm good at business, I'm not really a good creative person. And creative people aren't really good with money. Like those two sides.
Well, that's the stereotype.
Right.
The stereotype is you're not supposed to be.
It's the myth, right? It's the myth.
Right.
So I didn't like that. You put me in a box and I'm going to claw my way out of it, whether I have to break the whole box. So that's part of what had me start the podcast, which is What if we lived in a world where creative people weren't infantilized, where they didn't just hand everything off to their business person and then wind up with no money, 8, 10, 12 years later? What if they were actually savvy? What if they were power brokers? What if they had enough money to influence public policy? What if they were deeply involved in the community and what happened because they could adult as well as create? And we shatter that myth. And then not a year or so after I did the podcast, I started the podcast, all the beautiful people at Critical Role came and did exactly that.
Huh.
They took back their IP from anybody else who owned it, and they own that show. They own their creative and financial show.
So wait, it originally was started not in their control, and they wound up buying it. How did they?
I think it was on Geek and Sundry. I don't know the ins and outs. My understanding is it was on Geek and Sundry, and when I guess the contract came up or the time came up or whatever, they then exercised their option and they took it back, and they own their IP, their intellectual property. They own it.
Yeah.
They own it, and they decide. And they went on to have the world record-setting most successful Kickstarter in history. And everybody watch your response to that. Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you jealous? Do you feel threatened? Do you feel less than? Do you feel like you should have done something like that already? What's going on in your head with this right now?
Excited.
Yeah. But are any of those other things present? Anywhere you feel that, oh, I wish I had, like I'm a competitive, ambitious person. And I learned a long time ago to take that when somebody else booked something I wanted, or somebody else got something I wanted, or did something I felt like I should have done already. I learned to turn that into, yes, it is possible. Look at you go. I am inspired and excited, and that's the override. You just create it. You just make it so. Because if it was meant to be yours, it would have.
Right. Well, and it's not limited. It's not like if it exists for that person, they're the only one who can have it. It doesn't mean that only they get to have it. It means to me, it always means, oh, look, it's out there. It can be done. Like, go do it. You're next. If you want to do it, that's there for you. I find it so encouraging.
And this to me is another one of the gifts of COVID, which is, look, and this is not to dismiss the parts of COVID that are difficult. We all know those. Can we please spend time on the upside? Because if we spend all our time on the downside, how are we going to be?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want
that. Yes.
We can't do don't have control over that. We have influence over where our thoughts go and where our mood goes and where our vibe goes. Like when your thoughts go the down, then your mood goes the down, then your vibe goes the down.
Yeah.
And what good are you to the world then?
Yeah.
Look, we're all going to have the down days. And look, those days you don't have, it feels like choice has gone out the window. It hasn't, but it feels like it has. So in the moments when you have choice, exercise it. When you can feel the tiniest thread of choice, you grab that thing and you exercise it. I'm going to move my attention. That's another Jim Fortin tool. I'm going to move my attention and I'm going to take hold of this. I'm going to choose something that feels better and that puts better energy out into the world. I learned a couple decades ago that how I walked around in the world and how I spoke and how I thought about things didn't just impact me. That creates a ripple and it goes out. And I'm not a superhero. I'm very human. And I don't always have the level of control and influence over my own being that I wish I did. But in the moments when I can, that is the true north that I subscribe to. That is what I shoot for. That is what I go for. I look at Rob Paulson. Like, you talk about somebody who puts light into the world. If anybody knows Rob, it's amazing. So about this gift of COVID, there are so many people that were doing things that they didn't really care about to make money. And those things were taken away from them.
Yes.
And that created an opening. And what happens in that opening, we do have influence over. We don't have total control over, but we have influence over it. So how are you going to process the fact that your job went away, but you do have all this time? Are you going to look at how you live? Are you going to look at, do I want to live that minimalist vibe? Do I want to let go of stuff? For me, I was in LA and I had an instinct that I had a really dang strong message that this was going to go on for a while and be a larger deal than was looking like in the beginning. So I on a Monday, I decided I was going to go visit my sister up in Canada for a couple, because I knew school was going to be closed more than 2 weeks. And I was going to pack up my house just in case, because I had friends moving in May or end of May. I was going to rent my house out. That was Monday. Wednesday morning, the Canadian government closed the border to all but citizens. So I had a lot of legal stuff to take care of and money, and I had to adult my buns off. And I got the moving guy who was already coming that day to give me a vid for eventually, because I was on my way to being a two cities person. I was going to be in Canada and in LA back and forth and get my kid in this really cool, smaller place to live where he's having that kid life that's beautiful. And I'm near my family and
So
etc.
nice.
Yeah. But on that day, I had to adult the snot out of it. I had to like get my banking in order, cross border, get my legal in order, get my moving guy in order, get it all in order and get it done in one day. And I did not leave any space for, but, no, there was no time and no room. I just dug in and you do it. And every person has that capacity.
Well, it's amazing how you do when you have to. Like when
Yes.
you're faced with that moment where
Right.
you have to, it's
Right.
amazing that suddenly you're able to do these incredible things
And
because
it's
it
what,
has to get done.
yeah. And it's what
Right.
you tell yourself. Are you telling yourself, I have to adult? Or are you telling yourself, I get to do this to create that freedom on the other side?
Yeah.
How are you framing it? Are you creating trash in your head? Or are you creating power? Are you disempowering yourself or empowering yourself with the way you're thinking of things and framing things? It's all marketing and framing, including the way we talk to ourselves. You know, I there's parts of adulting. I see somebody saying adulting definitely sucks. I don't know. I don't think that anymore. Because for me, adulting gives me power and freedom. Those things don't suck. And if you want something for free, then yeah, adulting does suck because that ain't adulting.
Right.
Well, and I say this with great love because I've been there. And I also say this knowing that in 6 months, I'm going to look back and go, I'm so embarrassed. Because
But
I will,
inevitably, but that's just human. That's
I,
human. But meanwhile, here you are knowing this and being able to share this at this point. This is where you are in the journey.
and that's the humility of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't judge any, like, I will speak sternly, but I will not judge because everybody's in the place they're in. And I've been in that place and I'm going to be in it again. If you're not there now, you're going to be. You're gonna be. And so anyway, I adulted my buns off and got up here and then, dealt with this house and building a studio and all this other stuff. So for me, that opportunity of COVID was I'm attached to this place and this way of living and this way of doing my career, but I can see circumstances are requiring something different. So I completely surrendered to what was, let go, and floated down that river to the next thing that is, and that's a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that letting go and the floating down the river is a lot easier than fighting your way down or like being under and like gasping as you're going and
Who's
just
gonna
saying
win?
like,
Where does that one end up? The
yeah,
river always
yeah,
wins.
yes,
Like, it's got things to show you, just get in the boat.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Just get in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just hold on to a freaking log. Just be so smart.
Yes.
So smart. So wait, what were you taught about money to start?
Oh,
Because I keep on thinking about being. So
yeah.
where you started out, what were your thoughts about money when you began on this journey?
A killer inventory for everyone to consider. I grew up with my mother always screaming about how we had no money or spending money. And I didn't understand where it came from. And it seemed to be this magic, elusive force that would come and go and come and go. And then when she was with my dad, I have two dads. I have my dad, my biological father, and then who I adore, and my dad, who I adore. She was with my dad. She was her like third husband, I think. And he was his parents came through the depression, and so he learned from his parents, money's going to go away and you got to hang on to it and you got to control it and manage it really tightly. And he would tell me these things and I'd be like, but they sank in. Those beliefs became my beliefs, and my mother's beliefs, my mother's patterns created fear in me and a desire to hang on to money really tight. And my dad actually used to call me the little capitalist piglet because this was the perfect description of me with money. I would learn how to macrame, like make these macrame plant hanger things with the beads, and I would price out. I would do my cost of goods sold. How much cake, twine or whatever cord do I need? How many beads do I need? How much the cost of those and how much can I sell these for? Like I had an instinct for this at that age. And then I'd make them and then I'd just give them away. Cause you know, my God. You talk about a power leak right there. Right
Wow.
there. There's a power leak. The feeling that money's gonna always go away. That's a power leak. That's a
Yeah.
leak in the boat. You know,
Yeah.
the not valuing one's own time and effort.
Yeah.
That's a leak. The guilt over, "Oh my god, I'm working so much, I'm making money, not my a lot of my friends aren't. I should take care of everybody." That's a leak, you know? Those are all leaks in the boat. It's about finding a balance, and I have, I've definitely hit my bumps in the road along the way, and the universe will tell you where your values are. They will absolutely
Yes.
tell you, and I've done this thing for many years now, my god, many years. I think the first time I did it was in 1994. I had just some of you weren't born yet. Hi. I had just booked Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego, the cartoon series, and I loved it, and I had moved into this apartment that was, like, golly, I think it was the size of my studio right now, my office and studio. That's amazing, thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
and, remind me to revisit gratitude in a few minutes.
Love it.
But I sat down with a piece of paper and a brown paper bag, and I had a candle, and I wrote out I had just read Shakti Gawain's, book about visualization, which is a great book. I highly recommend it, Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. And I wrote out my goals, and I wrote it in the present tense like it was already here, like you're supposed to. I am a series regular on, I make X, X, X. I have this. I did like 10 statements in the Sharpie, and then I ceremonially burnt the edges and realized that paper burns really fast. So you better have some water too to put it out and don't burn the whole paper. And I did the whole little ceremony. I stuck it on my wall, and then I moved about 10 months later into an apartment where I stayed for 5 years until I bought my first house. And that whole time in the other apartment, I never took this piece of paper out again, never looked at it again. And then I bought my house and I found it and I was like, what is this? And I unrolled it and I was like, holy snot, I have everything on this list.
I have had exactly the same experience. And I've told in the stream, I've told the story where I'd moved into a new apartment and it wasn't decorated yet. And it was this tiny little place, my smallest, most adorable. And I put up giant pieces of oak tag. And one was where I'll be in 5 years. And one was who I'm looking for, what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I would, with the big markers, write on it and walk around, stomp around, write on the next one, go back, come back. After about a month, I rolled them up. I put them in a closet. I opened them maybe 10 years later. Everything.
Yep.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
we talked about visualizations.
Yeah.
This is the yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's I call it set it and forget it. Because that's very important to me, for me, because
Yeah.
here's why. If I set it and then I busy myself with how it's going to happen, the details of it, it is only going to be as big as my little body, my little voice, and my little being can make it. But if I set it, forget it, and let it go to the universe, it was way bigger than I expected. It was
The
way
universe is conspiring with you then.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
right. Everything's
There's another important step in there. Show up in my day, clear, ready to go, open, and ready to work. And listen to my gut. Like, you can't just say, I'm going to have $1 million. Okay, I'm going to watch the TV now.
right.
Like, that's
Right.
not coming. That's
Right.
not coming. Really?
Yes.
Grow up.
Yes.
So, unless that's your business, unless that's what you're going to do, you got to show up and you got to match the steps. You got to match the flow. And you're going to be off some places and on some places, but just return to trust. And I believe that we are like, imagine this gigantic funnel. And this much of us is in this plane, working and doing things. And all of this is a greater, bigger energy that we can't conceive of. It's always cracked me up since I was a kid that we think we know.
Yeah.
Think we don't know anything. I can see this. I bet there's all these colors we can't even see. I bet there's all these noises we know there's noises we can't hear because dogs hear them.
Right.
They're not
Right.
lying.
Right.
Like, we don't know. So put on your humble hat and go have fun and listen to your gut and be good and be kind. Your vibration is everything. And for God's sake, this is one thing I'm going to just demand out there. There's two things I'm going to demand. One is vote.
Yes. Vote.
Two, don't complain. If you got nothing good to say, don't stink up the space. Don't stink up the space. I thank you.
I love these two. Oh
Yeah.
my God, so
Mm.
on point.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yes,
think
that's
so.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yes, that's perfect.
yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. The fourth table leg, the being table leg, which comprises your vibe and your mood and the people you're surrounded with and the people and expectations around you and your society. And
It's your head
in it,
trash.
right, right.
It's
It's
your
your,
head
right,
it's your
right,
it's really
exactly.
it's your head cabinet. It's either
Yeah.
full of trash or it's full of good stuff, and listen, full disclosure here, I am on the path. I have my places I go where I dump my head trash and go, "Ah, ah, ah," and they're like, head trash," and I'm like, "Oh, oh, missed that.
Right.
Completely missed that." So these answers and these perspectives sound like I got it all handled. No, I don't. I'm in the game, but I'm in a space in the game right now in this conversation where I can allow information to come through that may be useful. And that's what I'm here for. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is basically what we're doing here in the first place. We've
Mhm.
had this incredible community, and everybody who's in the chat who's been talking so much. It's been so nice. You know nothing, Jon Snow. That's
I
so
know.
lovely. I
I love
love that.
nothing on snow.
Yeah, but it's so good to all be here and to be present, to be talking this through. And I am having a moment. So
Hmm.
I decided to really adult the hell out of things
Bring your moment.
starting about a year ago. Was the it's time to really adult, because I grew up in a family where my grandparents, there's this crazy story. My grandparents got married right before the stock market crashed, and
Oh.
they got married and they left for their honeymoon and they planned this outrageous, elaborate, fabulous honeymoon to be away for like 2 months. And their
Oh.
family said, "What are you doing? That's crazy. What are you doing? You're gonna go." And they took off. And while they were away, the stock market crashed. And there were 54 banks that closed in New York City, and two never reopened, and one of them was theirs. And if they had left their money in the bank, it would have all been gone. So the lesson that came through my family was, when you have it, you spend it. When the
Mm.
ball is in your court, you play. You don't, this whole, and then I have another friend whose father would always say, when you have to have meat when you have teeth. Have meat when you have teeth.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with these very high flying parents who, like, went for, and it was like outrageous, but there was no protective measure. There was no safety valve. And
So
I certainly wasn't taught about how to be, how to be judgmental. It was like, you have it, you have it, you have it, you spend it, you do it. So, and we always had, it always seemed like we had, and
yeah.
things only went awry when I was already in college, is where things really started going awry in
Mhm.
terms of their finances. But by then I was off on my own. And so the way I always handled money throughout my life was, I assumed it would come. It did. I blow it. I assumed it would come. It did. I blow it. And just always assuming that this is how it would just be. It would just always, and I mean, it was fine. And there were times that things were very lean and I was really broke, but inevitably it would come if I needed to spend it on this. And sometimes I'd have an outrageous year and it'd be great. And then that would mean that we could have like an unbelievable time. And this is how it always was. And so we sort of hit a point about a year ago where I was like, oh my God, we have to do something protective. Like, we really have to, we've got to be grown-ups here. Like, what
What
are we doing? We're being crazy people. Like, we have to know what the hell we're doing. We don't know what we're doing.
I have a question
So
for you.
what?
I just wanna pause the story because it's such a great story. I wanna
Yeah.
pause for a second. If we pause and go beyond adulting into the largest, wisest part of yourself that we all have, what is it telling you?
What has it been telling me?
What is it telling you now is the way.
Right this second?
In
You're
these
doing what you
days.
need to be doing. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You're doing what
Good,
you need to be doing. But
good.
it sucks because I'm adulting. I'm adulting. And
Why does
so
adulting suck? What sucks about it? Let's go there. Let's dismantle this 'cause I want
what's
to talk
okay?
for a second.
Okay. So for
I'm
the
gonna call that out.
first time in my life,
Yeah.
I like tightened the belt, and I got very responsible about and just I got really responsible and really just focused and determined, and I've got goals and I have what I'm doing, and I that's extraneous. And initially it was aided by the crisis, because who needed to go blowing money on things? There wasn't anywhere to go, there wasn't anything to buy, nothing mattered that much. I have so much, it didn't matter.
Right.
And then all of my plans, all of my travel plans and all of my work plans and for travel and all that went out the window
Yeah.
and out the window. And I'm in the city and I'm stuck. And I feel like I straitjacketed myself at a moment when the world also put extra constraints.
Yeah.
And so it's been really challenging. And my impulse has been, I want to spend all the money. Like I want to, I'm
Don't tell me what
fighting
to do.
against myself. I'm fighting against myself. I
Future.
I've like had moments where I'm like, because we got a financial manager who we talk to and we have like reports and we go through it. Like we really are getting our shit together. We're like on it. And I know that it's good. And I know that it's what I chose. And I know that it's good. And I'm literally like, can I sneak money
Pause.
here?
Pause.
But
I have
go.
something for you.
I want it.
I love all this and all this fuel, all this conversation, the story that you have, this
Yes.
funny, entertaining, awesome story is reinforcing your old identity. And what's happening is this new identity as Jen who also adults is threatening the snot out of your old identity. And
Oh,
it's mad and it wants the power back. And
yes.
it's also the reptilian brain going, these aren't my habits, those are my habits. Give me back my habits. Give them to me now. And it's like, it's not unlike
This is how I'll feel better.
right.
This is how I'll feel better.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's your crack. Yeah,
Yes.
but one of the things that I also delve into in the podcast, which is it's a reality we all live in, is we live in the matrix, right? We are large corporations have come in and taken over so much. And one of the things, just there's so much. They've infantilized us and oh, that's a whole other conversation. But one of the things that they've really taken over is big food. Like the food that we're fed is really bad for us. We're given a lot of stuff that toxifies our bodies, and then we have actual inflammation in our actual brains and our
Yes.
decision-making centers.
Yes.
But we're not really thinking straight because we're kind of like, "Rah," but we don't even realize it. I tell you, do an elimination eating plan for 30, 45, 60 days, just that little period of time, you'll be stunned at the reality that comes back to you once all that crap's out of your system. You're like,
Yes.
whoa, I can feel my body now. I can think. So when one of the things that happens when one cuts out wheat and sugar and those things that cause inflammation for wheat for many of us, we're not all celiac, but there are certain things in modern wheat that's not necessarily healthy. But let's just look at sugar because that's universally identified as not good.
Right.
Sugar lights up more addictive centers in the brain than heroin and cocaine combined. And there's another thing, your gut is full of all these little microbes. We're 10 bacterial cells in our body to every one of our human cells.
Right.
And a lot of those live in this channel from here to the other end that is really all this stuff outside the body that's in the body. And it's there to process our fuel and our food to help us live. It's magical what happens. But your gut is like like a whole bunch of apartment buildings with millions and millions of tiny little apartments. And there are microbes living in there, some of whom are really good for you and some of whom are not. And the ones that are not feed off of sugar, wheat, chemicals, things that big food and big keep feeding you because they want your money.
Yes.
And when you stop eating them, those organisms in those little apartments go, I'm dying, feed me. And that's where your cravings come from, right? That's part of your cravings. And when one learns to not go, I'm having cravings, but to go, good, bye, it makes it easier. So in this moment, when that habitual reptilian part of your brain is like, I don't like this, you go, I know it's so great. Look at you expanding beyond what you were. You're not taking away something. You're adding a capacity to you that you have not yet developed. You're Arnold Schwarzenegger and living in the moment, and you're Pee Wee Herman and planning for your future. And now you're building your Pee Wee Herman side, and your Schwarzenegger side's like, what about me? You're like, you're still there. Sit down. It's not your turn.
It's not you right now. It's not you right now. Yeah.
People think growth is like, I'm a 2-gallon bucket. I'm going to become a 5-gallon. I'm just going to stretch and it'll be like a lovely yoga class. No, that's not how this plane is designed. It's painful. When you drive down the street, if you live anywhere there's yards and stuff, and it all smells like horrible cow poo, it's because somebody's cow pooed their yard to fertilize the grass and it smells bad.
Terrible. Right.
But a couple months later, what do you have? Gorgeous grass. You're just in the cow poo.
Yes.
And you're going to have gorgeous grass. Don't take all that cow poo out of your yard because you need it. you know, like,
I'm deep in the cow poo
yeah,
right now. I
and you're
am like in the cow poo. Yeah.
you smash that container. It's that whole Japanese thing you see in the memes all the time where they when a bowl shatters that was beautiful, they don't throw it out and they don't glue it back together exactly as it was. They put it together with the threads of gold everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a little bigger than it was. So you're breaking your container to become a larger container, to become more of what you were. And think of the
And it highlights the breaks, like that gold sort of decorates the breaks because the things that have been broken and reassembled are more beautiful. That's
yeah.
a nice way of thinking about this.
Well, anything
Yeah,
can be true. What we decide is.
I
Our life
like
is
that.
nothing but a series of perceptions. So what are you choosing for your every minute you're choosing? You're listening to me right now, everybody out there, and you're deciding she's this or she's that. And I'm none of those things. What you're deciding is about you,
Yeah.
not about me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reflection of you and how you see the world. I'm just here being me, doing my zone. You're going to love me. You're going to hate me. You're going to like me this minute. You're going to think I'm full of crap the next. I don't mind. I'm just here for you to stretch and exercise and bend yourself and go toward what do you want? You know, what not what you think you should have and not what's easy. You know, but you can call me Chef Bomb. Yes, I see that.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's great.
Chef Mom. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait.
And
We
eat your
have
vegetables.
yes, we
And
have
that's a real thing. Yeah, go ahead.
no, it's so funny. I've never thought about the analogy of the food with what's going on here because I've had that experience of eliminating things from my diet. And it's always those first 2 or 3 days that it's just a constant struggle in your mind. And you just be like, nope, it's great. Nope, it's good. No, I'm not having it. I'm not. And then once you get through the bacteria dying,
Mhm.
then you feel amazing and then you feel empowered and then it's just self-sustaining.
Yeah.
I am in like a prolonged the battle. It's
Have
also
you
like quitting smoking. Quitting smoking was like that. There was the times that I stopped when I first tried stopping smoking. I mean, so many years ago, it's
yeah.
ridiculous. Where I would fight tooth
Well,
and nail. And
and
then the time I finally stopped, which is, oh my God, which is what, 17, 18 years ago already.
yeah.
At that time, I just decided, okay, I'm going to be uncomfortable for a week and that's okay. And I was, and then it
Yes.
was done and then I was
What
fine.
if your whole life, what if
But that's,
anything was available to you because you were willing to be uncomfortable?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and and like there are some amazing tools. You don't have to white knuckle that section on your own. You can have the support of friends. You can have, by the way, in September, if you want to join me, I'm doing an elimination month.
oh,
And when
good.
my kid goes back to school, I'll take that month to do that. And I'm not excited about it. I am excited about it, but I'm not looking forward to it, if that makes sense. Like, whew, I know it's going to require something of me. One of the tools that I go to whenever I'm making a big change is self-hypnosis, or I've recently stumbled upon is self-hypnosis. There's hypnosisdownloads.com has wonderful resources. There's
Writing
great,
this down too.
yeah. And I do a thing where I'll do a self-hypnosis thing in the morning and in the evening. I meditation is a thing for me better done in mindfulness, better
Mhm.
done in momentary awareness. Like I feel this glass and I'm gonna actually see my problem is if I do this right now, I'm gonna cry. I'm actually aware, I shouldn't say that, I feel great emotion when I think of actually taking a sip of this and being present to it. This is water and it came from the planet and that came from the solar system, that came from the universe, and it's about to come and feed me. It's about to fill me up. Like that's like, what? Like, what if you were present to the little things like that? You know?
That's
But
beautiful.
anyway, I got off track, which is not
Mm,
unusual.
mm,
But we were talking, let's talk about
but I
gratitude.
loved it.
Well, let's talk
But
about gratitude for a second. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm grateful. Are you? Are you grateful in your being? Are you grateful in the way where you stop and you get it for just a second? You get that couch you're sitting on or that chair you're sitting in that, and do you have indoor plumbing, anyone? Because that puts you in the top 5% of the world, 10% of the world. Like, have you thought about that? You have an opportunity. And I would venture to say sometimes for some of us, an obligation to raise the level for everyone else. And that doesn't mean you preach at people. Good Lord, no. That means you share what's been useful for you when it's been asked for, but you be a being that has a vibe that helps, not a vibe that drags
this
things
is
up.
it.
You know, you don't if someone requests your aid, then support them with your experience, but it's not yours to change them either. That's not your ride. You know, that's not my monkeys, not my circus, but not my circus, not my monkeys anyway. See, that's why I don't own a circus. But what I was on before was self-hypnosis, that tools to get you through the changes, tools that are useful and powerful. Because what often happens is we don't necessarily know how to set ourselves up for success. We go, I shouldn't be doing this. And we use shame and guilt and self diminishment, go, because actually that's culturally popular as well. Like everybody's like, I know it's miserable, you know, rather than, you know what, I'm inspired, I'm excited, and this being deserves to express itself fully. So this being deserves to be healthy. This body gets one shot at being here. I'm going to support it as best I can with whatever capacities I have, whether those are fully abled, partially abled, whatever one's abilities are. I'm going to feed it and take care of it, and I'm going to give it support and tools to do that. You know, this is why, like, I've been a dork my entire life, a geek, a nerd, and not in that fun way. Like, I was the kid that everyone made fun of in school. I had a list of nicknames, and I share this because it doesn't matter.
No, not
It
at all.
doesn't matter. It gave me strength. It gave me grit. It gave me an inner core that you can't mess with. You know, well, there's a couple places I can still be messed with because I'm human, right? And I'm learning. But those are my places I learn. We learn the most in pain because we're paying attention.
You know,
Then
that's
we sit up and
exactly
go, oh, wait,
right.
what'd you say?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that when it was all soft and mushy. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
You
No,
know,
right. No, that's exactly it. Yeah. No, you're actually paying attention when you're so uncomfortable. When you're
yeah.
so uncomfortable, then you know it. Wow.
Mhm. Somebody just posted about we are leftover space dust.
Ah.
Like, people talk about personality and why people are the way they are. I got a download one time. I call them downloads. That was so fun to me, which is like, we're made up of, there's nature and nurture, because a lot of us here are parents.
Right.
And then there's that extra something that, like, you're like, where did this come from? I believe that, like, the atoms that go to make up a newborn baby are billions of years old, right? And energy is neither created nor destroyed. So what if those atoms have some kind of atomic memory, like muscle memory when you learn a sport? And what if part of our personality is that piece of us that's ancient, that's from the stars? And maybe, like, nobody in my family liked horses or was an actor, and here I go. I'm like, okay, maybe there's some stardust in here that did that before, so it wants to do it again. Like, who knows? Anyway.
Oh, I like it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of related to the idea of having a past life or having something else, but I like the idea of it being stardust, of just little
And
particles that just wanna
we
self-express.
don't know.
Right. No, but it's beautiful. I like that.
And you know, I want to share something came to me. I did my first audiobook recently. Christopher Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and it's amazing. And in
Nice.
the process, I said process, I've been in Canada for a few weeks now. Couple months
Already.
now. Process.
Bam.
In the
Process.
process. I got a really cool download one day, and I don't know why it came when it came, but I never that's the thing, you don't ask about downloads. You just go, okay. And something about the election came up, and people who think different to me and different to my circle. And I feel a frustration sometimes that they don't see things the way I see them, because I see so much of what I perceive to be destruction coming from their choices.
Mhm.
And the download was, some of those people are new. They haven't had the experiences we've all had. They haven't walked the path that, you know, everybody's walked different paths, and yours is not to judge them. Yours is to offer up the information. And those who piss you off the most are the youngest. So they're like infants. So your job is actually to hold space and love for them like you would an infant. I was like, really? Okay.
You're like, "Oh, I can do it. I can do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But
I
I
can
thought that
try."
was a beautiful download. Yeah.
That is a beautiful download. I
Yeah.
like that they're download. I always say it's the antenna to God. The
Mm.
antenna to God, antenna to God. That's a download is a good.
For
I
me,
like,
everybody's got
yeah,
different terms, but that works for me.
it's a good one. We
Yeah.
have so many questions and we
Okay.
only have like a
Good.
half an hour. I'm
Let's
like,
do it.
oh
Let's
my
do it. Let's do it.
gosh.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's It's
Okay.
such a great conversation. Thank you for having
I know,
me.
I want to have you for like 3 hours. I know. I love
Let's do
this.
it
I
again.
know. Okay. We're going to do it again. We're doing
Yeah.
it again. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
first go to questions though. Okay. I'm going to start with my beloved buddy, Booty Farts, who was the first one.
Aw.
Booty Farts, this is for you, my dear. For a beginner who wants to learn about the stock market and investing, where should he start? And I know stock market isn't necessarily your thing, but where should he start?
Start with the end in mind. Just came to me. Um, Check out the different ways of operating on the stock market to begin with. Check out investing, things like index funds that sort of take a basket of stocks and things. And then there are also things like options and puts and calls, which have to do with, whether the market's going to go up or down. And that's a separate area of study. And then there's Forex, which is the foreign exchange market. So first get a book like Investing for Dummies, something that tells you all the different ways, but don't, like a voice demo, like as if you were making a voice demo. I tell people when you make a voice demo, don't. Take classes for a year and a half and stay in school for a year and a half and make a fake demo on your phone and listen to it. And the day when you listen to that demo and you're like, yeah, that's pretty good, and you made it 2-3 months ago, then go lay down your money. So what if you got like a pretend investment account and you just tracked paper investments and experiment? Is this my thing? Is, our baskets, the index funds my thing? Are specific stocks my thing? Are, this options trading, is that my thing? Or is Forex my thing? Like, first find your thing and go slow. There's a great saying in horse training, which is take the time it takes so it takes less time. Go slow.
Ooh.
Go slow to go fast. Because if you go, I'm going to do this and this and that, and you lose money. I'm going to do that because you were in a hurry.
Yep.
Like people, step up. This is a piece of adulting people don't always recognize. Like, people want to rush to the information and the solution and the answer. People are doing psychedelics because they want the wisdom, and they don't want to do the time and the daily discipline of those practices, of mindfulness, of the slow, boring stuff. Embrace the slow, boring, because that's where the spectacular comes from.
Yeah. Wait, take the time it takes so it takes less time.
Mm-hmm.
That is so exactly right. I love that.
I made the mistake so many times, like trying to get your horse to cross through an obstacle thing. And you're like, hurry up, and it's going to take forever because you've created all this fear. And if you just go, hey, there's a thing, let's hang out at the thing for a little while. And they're like, I'm bored. What's over there? You're like, oh, okay. That's over there. I can only look at that. Okay. And you're like, through like lightning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Booty Farts. I'm glad it.
Yay, Booty. Okay. Tilly as a Zoomer asks, how do you keep saving money instead of spending it when you earn a bunch of it?
You decide. This is not a thing that happens to you. You're living. You're living from circumstance. You're living like a child.
Suffer initially, and then you get over it, and then you get over it, and then you stop fighting. You stop fighting.
Stop. You reframe it.
Yes.
You're choosing.
Reframing. I'm choosing.
You're choosing to spend that money. You're choosing to put yourself in a precarious position because you like the chaos and you like the upheaval. If you've decided that you're ready for something beyond chaos, then choose it. Don't be a child. Don't be a victim. Just do it. Don't complain. Don't discuss it. Just do it. You're going to, and also appeal to future you. What does future you look like? Who has those things? Do little daydream. Like, we spend so much time worrying, and worrying is daydreaming in the negative. And I so need to remember this because I've been worrying a lot lately. See, I need to hear this stuff.
Yep.
Daydream in the positive. Like, imagine future you. I got a couple postcards from myself as a kid of me as an adult, like little imaginary postcards. And I was like, telling me it was going to be okay because I grew up in a really traumatic situation. And I'll be danged if when I hit like 32, I didn't look just like that. And so I sent that postcard going, I better get that out there then.
Wow.
So appeal to future you. Appeal to future you. So somebody just said that's what her offspring see before they die. That's funny. Like, if you've decided it, then you picked it.
Yeah.
Don't complain. Sometimes we complain to belong or because we're bored. We need something to talk about. Okay. That's okay too. Just know what you're doing. You can do it. You're allowed to do anything. Just know what you're doing and know the consequences. Your vibe's going to go down. Your feeling's going to go down. You're going to suffer through that change because you decided the change was hard.
I needed you so badly today. Holy shit. Oh my God. Thank you. I really needed you today.
And I made none of this up. I learned it from beautiful mentors who I am so grateful to.
Yeah. Oh, I needed you. Wow. Okay. My buddy Audrey Oddrolls asked, I know absolutely nothing about money, but what do the two of you all think about impulse purchases? Are they ever good? And if so, when?
Why are you?
Yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead.
also starting my first paid job on Monday. What are some tips for transitioning into the workforce? So let's start with,
Go read me that one more time.
okay, let's start. The first half is, I know absolutely nothing about money, but what do the two of you think about impulse purchases? Are they
Pause.
ever good? If so, when?
Pause right there. We're going to
Yeah.
just take that first section. I know absolutely nothing,
Yes.
but what do you think? You, Audrey, is it? Audrey, you
Audrey.
gave your power away. You gave it to us to decide for you. Where do you do that in your life? Why are you doing it? Is that the life you want? Just asking. You know what impulses buys are good for and what they're not. Are they on your keeping you on track? Or are they taking you off track? And if you go off track, you made that decision, not me, not her. You did. You are a beautiful soul with a path. And every day you delay taking ownership of that is every day you deprive us of you. Quit it. That's just my thought.
That was great. I love Audrey. Audrey is great.
Yes.
Oh,
She had more
nice.
of her questions. So transitioning into the workforce.
Yes. Yes. Starting her first paid job on Monday. What are some tips for transitioning into the workforce?
First of all, Audrey, yes. Well done. Well done. Number one, be safe, practice safe distancing and all that stuff that you need to do to keep yourself safe. Number two, if you want some mechanical stuff, I save, because I'm a performer, I try to save, roughly a third of my income, because for us as performers, we're in fashion sometimes and we're out of fashion other times, and we've got to be financially stable when that happens. For you, I mean, one of the greatest, most powerful things that one can do starting out in your early relationship with money, your very baby where you are right now, is learn how to, from the impulse spending question, I suspect you may know how to live beyond your means. Do you know how to
She's also
live?
very young. She's very young.
Yes,
So
I
yeah.
know. I could
Okay.
believe that. She's probably
Yeah.
still got a teen in front of her name.
Yeah.
So I would say, but listen, you can handle this. I'm gonna talk straight to you. I would say, do you know how to live below your means? Are you powerful enough to not spend when your peer group spends, to go, I'm going to choose what I'm going to do. I'm going to save up and buy me some silver, or I'm going to like actual investment stuff. I'm going to save up and buy this thing that's for my 10 years from now. I'm going to save up and get me a house. So all y'all can rent from me and give me your money. And then I'm going to buy another one and they can do the same thing, and then I'm going to own all the houses. And at 30, I'm going to be like, welcome to my island. Like there's options. Read some really cool books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Something like Investing for Dummies, and just start to pay attention. And also, I want you to do a magic trick for me, Audrey. I want you to separate this goes back to set it and forget it. Separate your money from your work. Money comes from your being. It doesn't don't ever believe that money only comes from your efforts. Money has magic to it as well. And when you're being the fullest part of yourself, living in that divine, beautiful, lifted part of yourself, where you choose counter to the culture, like you choose not to be of the complainers and the low vibe, magic comes in. Money shows up in the wildest ways. And you say yes and thank you. And I am a person who does well with this. I'm a person who welcomes this. I'm a person who values myself. I value money. I value others. And that means when someone gives something to you, you give to them as well. If somebody's giving you a good service, you pay them well for it. If somebody's taking care of you, you see who you can help. You always let that flow of generosity come through and go through you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Okay, wait, hold on.
Somebody just said, pay yourself first. That's very wise. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Akito Kurosaki was asking, how do you set up a budget for yourself? That's Akito's main issue with money.
Great. Akito, it's being present to what you're doing and spending. So it's I'm sure people out there, maybe you're familiar with a food diary. Like if you want to change how you eat, you spend I did a time log once, and it was nauseating because shortly after I got here, I was I didn't know it, but I was complete full on victim. And I went to one of my coaches, Lisa Carpenter. She's great. And I was like, and she's like, all right, she gives me like 2 seconds of story. She's like, no. All right. And thank you.
Love it.
And I did a time log, and I'm going to get to you, Akito. I did a time log where I literally wrote down everything I did all day for 3 days. And I was like, Oh, no wonder I feel victimized by my choice, by my environment, by my circumstances. And I took ownership and went, no. So when you're taking control of your money, it's like taking control of your food. You know, with food, you write down everything you eat and you're like, oh my,
We
wow. Oh,
just
I
talked
don't
about
want to
this.
write
We
down this bag
just
of chips. I don't want to write, oh no. It's the
right.
same thing. It's a nauseating process of getting sober, but it is the first step in learning how to use a wand. This is magic. You're learning how to use our magic wand. And your first step is to get to know the wand. How am I handling the wand right now? I spent this, do a money log for a couple. If you can do it for a couple weeks, that'd be great. Where am I spending? Like every time you order something online, every time you buy something at the store, every time, just look at it and get present to it. And then sit down and go, okay, what's my rent? How much is my rent? How much is my insurance? How much is my health insurance? How much is my spending at the drugstore every month? How much do I spend like going out and eating? How much do I spend for, I said insurance, car, gas, everything, all the categories. There's formal categories like, you know, housing, insurance of a couple different kinds, home renters insurance. And if you don't have renters insurance or homeowners insurance, what in the God's name are you
Go
thinking?
get it.
Oh, geez.
Go get it.
Go get it. Like seriously, like,
Yeah.
sorry, forgive the shame. Go
Mhm.
get it because you're inviting disaster. Um, and then so housing, um, utilities, telephone, transportation, food, entertainment, um, special things like, do you have an animal that needs money? Do you have a horse? Do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do you have a fish? Do you have specific hobbies? Do you have professional expenses? Like if you're a performer, do you have expenses related to that? Write it all out. And that's what you need. And then set your intention, your match, study will and intention. Like I'm so serious. I'm going to plug Jim Fortin again because
I
it's
can't wait to listen to Jim Fortin. I'm all
really
excited.
incredible
Yeah.
information. Yeah. So, write it all down, and that's what you need. And then put it out to the universe, this or something better for the highest good of all concerned, and then get to work and do your thing. And then, in addition to that's your basic get by money. Don't stop there. Set your dreams. Like, what does future me want? What does now me want in the future? Who is the future person is to get this? I'll be that now, you know? So those are some of my suggestions to start. And track. You got to track what you do after that initial diary. You got to check and see where do I come in. Budgets make me a little crazy. I have my general ballpark of I hit this and I hit that, but I let a lot of it go to the universe. I did a lot of budgeting for a lot of years. I spent years like to the penny, especially when I first moved to LA and when I was saving to go to LA. And once it gets in your bones and your body, then you can breathe with it a little bit and go to the next level of creation. Start there.
Mhm. I'm sorry. I'm just taking this in because I like the yeah. I know how to track for exercise. I know how to track for food. I know how to do all of those. I until this last year never tracked money. I set goals and I said, okay, once I have that much saved, then I can do blah blah blah. And I would
Yeah.
do it. But it
Yeah.
didn't go beyond event-based things.
Right.
There wasn't it literally that was where it went.
Yeah.
So that
And
I love the idea of like, okay, I'm going to treat it exactly the same way. I mean, I've been having my logs now. What am I
mhm,
spending? How much am I spending? Looking back at it, saying, "Oh, I need to do that. Is that what that costs? Is that the what category does that go in?" It's been like it's been eye-opening and illuminating and good because I've been sort of again, circumstance has made it so that I'm here too.
right.
But it's
And
really empowering in a way.
yeah, and you don't necessarily wanna just stay there, but you have to master it's like learning how to play an instrument, you know? Once you really master how to do it, then you break all the rules and throw them away and
Yeah.
create more. But really understand what it is first, you know? You can make a dance if you're a trained dancer, then you can go beyond into the area of more bigger genius and break all the rules. But if you didn't know what you were even talking about in the first place, then you're just
Yes.
flying by the seat of your pants, and it often ends in a crash.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that one, Cowboy BBY, so Cowboy Baby,
Mm.
is asking, how do you keep saving up money instead of spending it all in one go? I usually have the urge to spend money as soon as I get it.
That's a habit. You decide, and who do you wanna be? That we can't do that. I can give you all the information in the world. You have to decide. Yoda, there is no try, there is only do or not do.
Do or do not.
What are you going to choose? And what's your identity? And how are you stuck in the chaos? Are you stuck in the, I love this up and down? Because listen, whenever we're doing something that's bad for us, and I include myself in this, there's always a payoff. Why do I worry? Because it means I care. No, it means you're worrying. You're taking your power everywhere. Stop it.
Yes.
And I can say that now, but I needed this too, because I forgot this for the last few days. Like, we're all on the journey.
Yeah.
So, but you decide. Stop it. There's a great, look up Bob Newhart, Stop It on YouTube. It's listen, I recommend this video.
I love Bob Newhart.
And I'm a person who has benefited from therapy multiple times over the years, like lots and lots and lots.
Amazing.
And also, stop it. They both coexist.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we got that one. Okay. This one is from Create the Tired Owl. What would you suggest to do if you're an enabler for your partner? Like you can't say no to bad financial ideas, or are passive about it, saying neither yes nor no and leaving it in your partner's impulsive hands. And then and there's a second part to that, but that's okay. I don't know if that's and what if the bank you use has a high asking price for a bank account, so you're unable to open up a side one? What do you do then?
Let's take the first question first about enabling. I bet you can guess my answer, can't you? Can anybody out there type it in chat?
We can guess. Come on, people in the chat. What is Jennifer going to say?
What am I going to say about the enabling the boyfriend with the bad decisions? Anybody?
What do you suggest? What is Jennifer going to suggest?
It's 2 words.
It's your choice.
Stop it.
Da-da, stop.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Jeff. Yeah. I mean, look, there's a payoff. And listen, I am a person who has been in multiple relationships where I avoided conflict because I just wanted to keep the peace. And let me tell you, you pay now or you pay later. It's either the smaller conflicts in the beginning that perhaps will end it, but maybe it wasn't where you were supposed to be. And do you think well enough of yourself that you could be with someone, whether it's this person or someone else, who makes better decisions and creates stability and cannot live in a chaotic world that flips you up on your end? Can you love yourself enough to choose different? Another great book, which is Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, I think. Beautiful book. Beautiful book.
Writing that down.
So you gotta choose. You're choosing this. No one is ever choosing anything for you. You handed your wand to them. I'm thinking this because I'm a woman in a relationship with men. You handed your wand to them. I've handed my wand to other people, and every time I get smacked on the bad end of the wand, and it's not fun. What was the second half of it?
The second half of that was, what if the bank you use has a high asking price for a bank account and you're unable to open a side one? What do you do then?
You're arguing for your limitations. Just stop it.
Right.
Go to another bank. Go to a credit
bank.
Shop around. Step up. Let's go. Quit it. You got this. Stop arguing for that you're helpless and you can't. Because you're not and you can. That's all.
I love that. Okay. From Dream October, this is very good. Money scares me. Dream October, thank you. Money scares me straight up. I've had bad experiences with money. My mom racked up nearly $10,000 in debt before I even reached 18 because she had control of my social security number, etc. She had very similar patterns of there's no money and then magically there was money again. What do I do to not be afraid of money? Every day, little small things you can think of, or universe altering thoughts are appreciated.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So I have 2 things for you. First, it's kind of fantastic that you had the mom you had, because you get to be a light worker and you get to heal that legacy. Okay. I came from a very, very abusive mother, like just call it the Terminator. That was her way. And she was one of my greatest teachers because I learned the value of creating a legacy going forward of love and care. And I'm not a perfect mom, but dang, if I'm not I love the heck out of my kid. And all I worry and obsess about is, am I doing right by him? Like, I got to break that legacy, and that kills me. Like, what an honor. You get to break the legacy of financial chaos. That you're even asking this question is incredible. You're on your way. You want this. So you get to learn, how do I create stability? You get to draw a line in the sand. This is a really powerful exercise, and I've done it with people I care deeply about, and I've done it with myself. Write down, you can write down all the money story you have. Like, money goes away, there's always chaos, all the bad things that were done to you, because now from this moment forward, you know things aren't done to you, they're part of your soul's journey. Write them all down. Every wrong that ever bothered you, take a couple days and just put them in a pot and put it in something metal. Make sure you have a glass of water nearby or a fire extinguisher. Burn them. Really. And
we just talked about this. I love this. Go on.
Yeah. Thank them for their teaching. You're going to go forward to something amazing, and you don't even know what it is yet. Okay. So that's dealing with your mom. Can you read me the question one more time? There was another piece that came to me. Oh, I got it. The other thing is, imagine you talked about your friends like you talk about money. Would you have any friends? Would that energy want to come visit you? So start talking about money like it's beautiful and it's your ally and it is there for you. And every time, and you're going to fall in the old ruts. That's okay. You're going to face plant. Just write yourself. And pretty soon, right now, the majority is like, ugh. Pretty soon after time, you're going to be like, oh, and then you're going to be like, oh yeah, I righted that boat pretty quick this time. You're going to get there. Look yourself in the eye and really love on yourself that way. It's nobody else's business. You just go, you know what? I got this. I am learning and I'm on the path. Just because you've asked this question, you're already halfway there. You're on your way. Not even halfway. You're on your way. You got this. Yeah. Congratulations on rewriting your family legacy. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Any fears about the future of money, especially as things are moving toward the internet, like PayPal, credit cards, all of that now being normalized?
I don't find fear to be a useful choice. Why would I do that to myself? It disempowers me. Look, there's only two choices ever in life, love or fear. And which one of those do you want to pay? You know, I want to invest in love. Yeah.
So
we're at a time of such creation. I mean, all of these, and there's one thing I do need to say to pay attention to. The crash in 2008 was a giant wealth transfer to the top 1.0 whatever percent. This right now, look at how much the wealthiest of the wealthy have enriched themselves because our hands are off the wheel. We're not voting, we're not engaging. But look at AOC and those like her. Look at Rashida, like everybody in there grabbing a hold of the wheel. We can take this back as we are taking it back as we grab the wheel, and we're going to have to hold on tight. We're going to have to mind two things. We're going to have to mind our participation, like show up, vote, participate. Because every time you don't, you hand it off to them, the evil overlords, and we ain't doing that.
Yep.
Second thing is mind your vibe. Don't complain about showing up. Show up.
Show up, show up, show up. Mm-hmm. I read something recently, you know, there was such concern about people not being excited about Biden and people being like, wishy-washy. And when you vote, you're not voting for who you're going to marry and who you're bringing home and who your best friend is. You're voting. You have to think about voting and an election like what train you're getting on to a destination. Yeah. And so it's just a question. I feel like Kamala is like somebody who's really going to help right the wheel about where we're going and sort of further declares it. But I love the idea of just that's what you're voting for. You're voting for a direction. You're voting for a way to go.
Yeah, you are. And also, if somebody's got to win your heart over and entertain the snot out of you to get you to vote for them, what? Grow up. You're not, like you said, you're not marrying them. And, you know, for God's sake, stop it. I didn't get my whole way, so I'm not going to play. Really? Give me the bat. You know, like, sorry. But my vibe went the wrong way there. But, no, I mean, there's another great saying that I've heard quite recently, which is when you stop expecting people to be perfect, you can enjoy them for who they are. When you stop expecting yourself to be perfect, you can appreciate yourself for who you are. When you stop expecting the candidate to be perfect, you can just vote for them and get a better situation.
Yeah.
If that's your thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I'll tell you, if this doesn't go, if this goes in a certain way this time, my belief is, ooh, it's going to be a really long road for America to come back if that is able to happen.
Yes.
We are definitely at a choice point. And because America is such a large power on the planet, for those of you who are not in the US, everything's at stake.
Mhm.
Everything is at stake. And for me, one of the deepest lessons here, because I was apathetic for years. I was like, it's all corporate BS. It doesn't really matter. Me. And I didn't vote a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I'm in now. I'm in now. 100%. And also recognizing when people speak to you passionately about something, they're not just being a pontificating jerk, I hope, although we can all do that, self included. They're speaking from somewhere, from some experience, from some time of learning, and they're passionate about passing it on. They may not be super skilled at explaining that, but it's coming from somewhere. There's context,
Yes.
there's something behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're speaking often from an injury point. Like there's like a wound that they're speaking from usually. I feel like when you attach yourself, particularly people, I mean, I'm thinking about when you were talking about seeing the infant, seeing the younger souls out in the world and having to be patient with people who aren't necessarily in agreement with you.
And be patient with yourself where you're younger. Like there's places where I just don't, that's what inspired me. That's what gave me the download. There was something I just couldn't get and couldn't understand. I was like, what? It's like, no, you haven't done this in any of your beings, in any of your forms, in any of your spaces. So be patient. Would you scream at a baby? Knock it off. Stop. Shh. Just stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that really resonates with me today.
Oh, good.
Oh
Good.
my gosh. Ness, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And have compassion though. Do you find compassion? Is it fun to beat yourself through the change, or do you want to kind of hang with yourself through the change? It's true. Yeah. But the annoying and the journey is the point, right? Like I had an ex who in a coma for 3.5 weeks. He got toxic shock syndrome from a sinus infection, and he was out. Like he almost died for weeks. Like I used to sit there and we fought to save his life, and we eventually saved his life. But while he was out, he shared with me later that he had a recurring dream that was the meaning of life, and I was like, what? Do tell.
Yes, we need to know.
Yeah, oh my God, tell me. And he's like, well, I was this person at this place, and I went out on a break, and I saw this sign, and on it was written the meaning of life. And I was like, what did the sign say? He's like, I can't remember. And I was like, finally, he said, I remembered. And I was like, what was it? And he goes, it sounds so simple, but that's the nature of downloads, right? They sound really perfunctory. They're hard to put into words. And it said, just be happy. That's not the whole thing, though. He said what it really meant was find the thing that makes you happy, go get the thing that makes you happy, and then there's this kind of curve where it's not so much the thing that makes you happy anymore, it's finding the next thing. And it's the journey, is what he was saying. It's that journey, it's that process. So everything we're going through, we think we're not supposed to be anywhere else. What if we weren't? We wouldn't be. I have face plants and like I still live with my own shame about where I perceive I fall short. And that shame is a really low vibration, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up for that. I'm just going to go, okay, so my journey is to love. Even that incredible Arthur Miller quote. I've been touting this lately. I'm going to look it up.
I want to hear.
Because it came to me. Hang on. I'm going to find it. Just a second. Nope. Hold on one second. I've been talking about it as I've been reading To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Hope outside. Somebody out there knows it.
The Arthur Miller.
There it is right there. It's from After the Fall. I think it's a mistake to ever look for hope outside of oneself. One day the house smells of fresh bread, the next of smoke and blood. One day you faint because the gardener cuts his finger off. Within a week, you're climbing over corpses of children bombed in a subway. What hope can there be if that is so? I tried to die near the end of the war. The same dream returned each night until I dared not to go to sleep and grew quite ill. I dreamed I had a child, and even in the dream, I saw it was my life. And it was an idiot, and I ran away. But it always crept onto my lap again, clutched at my clothes, until I thought if I could kiss it, whatever in it was my own, perhaps I could sleep. And somebody's calling. And I bent to its broken face, and it was horrible, but I kissed it. I think one must finally take one's life in one's arms. I'm like, isn't that amazing?
That's perfect.
Yeah, isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
Like conversation
That's
for Wednesday afternoon.
perfect. I know. A little like conversation on Twitch. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I mean, like the funner, lighter version is don't worry about it. Stop
Right.
it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Nobody's making you. Go have a good time.
Go have fun.
Take care
Go
of
do-
yourself. Like take care of yourself on all levels. Like I watch over my money because it feeds me. Like for everybody who's a creative out there, you're two people. You're an adult and you're a kid. You're that creative kid spirit that does the creating. And then you're also the benefactor, the adult that goes, I got the rent, I got the utilities, no problem. I got the, like
I got you covered. I got you covered. Go create. I got you covered. Right.
I'm finally going back to one of my soul loves, which is music, which is writing music. I put out a single last month, and I'm making the money to make my own music. And I haven't even looked to see if I've made any money from the song because I don't want to do that to my music. It's gonna show up. It's gonna show up, you know. And like I'm adulting so that creative muse spirit can have its fun and do its thing. Yeah.
Where can people hear the music?
Look up, the song is called Never. And if it's Jennifer Hale, Never. There's a link in my Instagram, jhalegram. There's a link in my bio, and in Twitter, jhale tweets. There's a link in there to go listen to the song. I love it. I'm
So
super
cool.
proud. Yeah.
Wait, what about J Hale's story? Is that another one to follow?
No, that one's dead because I lost the password a long time ago, and I just stopped with that one. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So jhalegram.
jhalegram, jhale tweets. Okay, and that's for the links to get to the
song. The song's called
Right.
Never.
No, wait, when did you start working on this?
I started it last fall, and then I was like, oh no, I had all this noise, this head trash, but I don't know, I don't know how to, and then I called a friend of mine, Isaac, Phil Lamar's son, Isaac, is a really great songwriter and producer and stuff, and he's like 18, and he's like, all right, here's how you release a song. I was like, thank you, Isaac, and he told me how to do it, so I just did DistroKid, and I was like, thank you, and it's out there, and he was my mentor in that.
So great. Great. Are you working on new ones?
I'm working on them right now. Yeah, I got a few new ones coming out. Yeah, it's super fun. But that is where I'm separated my adult from my creative kid, and I got the adulting. You go do the song thing, and I'll let you know what your allowance is. You know. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I got to have you on. This is so great.
Thank you for having, and thank you all for being there and for listening. And again, I am not an expert. I'm just a human who's walked the path. And if my path can shorten yours, make yours easier, I am grateful. Thank you. Thank you for
you are just beautiful and a gift, and you are speaking to my soul today. So thank you. I really needed you. I'm all excited to now go back and watch the whole stream because I needed you badly today. This was wonderful.
I loved it. I'll come back and play
you
anytime.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, I'm totally having you back. Yeah. Game on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Nat. Thank you, everybody out there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Family, thank you so much for tuning in. This was so great. So nice. On Saturday, I'm playing Jackbox with a handful of my Overwatch sisters for Reed Pop Metaverse. So if you guys want to go to the Reed Pop Metaverse site and go check that out, I've got links all over in my Instagram and in my Twitter. And then on Monday, we got an Ask Bird Mom, 5 p.m. EST. So if you have questions, are there issues you want to discuss? If there's anything that you want to talk about for Ask Bird Mom, you know the drill. Go to the Discord and write directly to ProNesNess, or you can DM me in the Instagram. family, I love you. Thank you. I feel lifted. I feel like my soul is lightened from today. This was really just what the doctor ordered. Jennifer, mwah, I love you. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you so
Such a
much, honey.
treat.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ness.
Yeah.
No problem.
Ness, you're the best.
Yeah.
Mwah.
That's me.
Mwah.
Thank you guys. Thanks, fam. Bye.